How's it going? Jerem Rush with Rushfire Forge. Tonight I'm going to show you how I build my propane forges so that you can see the process I go through. And you may not be able to do it exactly like I do, just based on what materials are available or what your situation is. But you can do something very similar. And so I'm going to show you how to build a low-cost but very effective propane forge. Okay, so here is the material that I start with for the forge body. This is a piece of 7x7 square tubing. I've used various thicknesses, anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 inch. 3/16 is my favorite. Not too heavy, not too bulky. Still offers good insulation, especially for your low-cost basic forge. But again, let me stress that this is a forge that's going to heat up metal in a great way. You can forge any kind of tough steels, high carbon steels and alloys and everything like that. You're not going to have any problems running into heat. As a matter of fact, right here is my forge. So we're going to mark center so we can drill a hole. And then I've got my mark. Okay, so that's where the burner is going to go. So let's cut a hole. I'm using my drill press here. This is a hole saw with carbide tips. You don't need carbide tips. You can use a bimetal saw. I just find the carbide works a little faster, and since I make so many of these, that's what I do. This is its automatic transmission fluid. You can use that to lube it up a bit and preserve the life of your hole saw. And if you don't have a drill press, you can just put your hole saw in your drill. There's the hole. There's a little chunk that came out of it. It's pretty. Alright, so now we're just going to put the ceramic blanket inside the forge. This is 7-inch square tubing, and it's 9 inches long, so that I have cut this 9 inches wide, and it is 28 inches long. That's the math. It might sound a little funny at first, but that is the math. So you take this and you set it inside and bring it all the way to the bottom of the forge. Now if you noticed, I put the hole that I drilled, it's over here. So the top is up here, this is the bottom. So put that there, and then I'm going to fold and make a pretty tight corner and tuck that in there. And I'm going to go around and make some nice tight corners and get that in there. Alright, so now that I've got all those in there, I'm just going to make some creases. Okay, this does not have to be exact, we can wiggle it in anyway. You just kind of squeeze it, push it down in there. And so now, that's what we've got. Doesn't quite cut it. So I've got this board. And just make sure I get all these sides. So now they're all nice and flat. So that's what we've got. Much better, much better. So we still have the hole there that's covered up. We want to put a flame through there. So I'll put the board back in. Now remember, we're just using the same 1.5 inches. I don't think I mentioned that. It's 1.5 inch hole saw. And I'm just going to drill through there, and I got to make sure I push down because there is a drill bit in the center of this thing, and that's going to bore down in the wood a little bit so that I can finish cutting through the rest of this ceramic blanket. So, nice clean cut. That's good. And so, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, you can kind of see that. If I put my hand back there, there you go. One little tip I want to show you is that if you'll just reach in there and turn this thing around while pushing your finger against the edge of that ceramic blanket, what it'll do, it will cause it to have a more cone-shaped effect just on the inside of this hole with that ceramic blanket. So it kind of continues the flare that the burner has, and it helps to not get some of the little rough edges of the ceramic blanket in the way of your jet. So that's going to make it a little more smooth. Okay, the next step involves a little welding. So what I've got is these two straps. This is just a little bit of flat bar, and all this is going to do is we're just going to put a strap along the front and a strap along the back, and that's going to hold in our fire brick floor to keep that thing from moving out of there. So I have a jig that I made for that. because I make enough of these. You can just measure, you'll be fine. So I just made this little jig, it slips over. There we go. And allows me to set this in place. There we go, right where I want it. So let's just weld it up. Alright, that's one. I can brush it off. And now, for the second one, you'll go ahead and slide your fire brick in there, kind of jiggle it around to push that blanket back a little bit. Then, if you got a bad cut in your, in your tube or whatever it is that you're putting in is a little too small, then you'll be able to weld this thing just out slightly where the fire brick puts it. So, mine are dead on 9 inches, which is another reason I like 9 inches, because fire bricks are exactly 9 inches. I like fire bricks as the floor. There's other things that insulate better. Ceramic hardboard, refractory, things like that will insulate better, but a fire brick, in my opinion, there's nothing better for the price. That brick costs like, $1.50 to $3 depending on where you go. They're cheap, they're easy to replace, and they do insulate really well. Like I said, not as well as some things, but they do a great job. And so for your general blacksmith, that's going to be awesome. Alright, so now that's what we've got. And so this may not be, like when you do it, this may not be dead even, this brick, and so usually what you do is you just kind of push it on that ceramic blanket, and it just needs to compress a little more because you can have a nice flat floor. You don't want your material rolling around. But that's it so far. Let's go to the next step. This is the burner that I teach you how to build in another video, so look for that if you haven't seen it. All we're going to do is we're going to take off this stainless steel reducer off the bottom, and I'm going to line it up on top. And I get it to where I feel like it's lined up, where it looks good, and then all I do is I push it past just a little bit to confirm, yep, that's where the hole is. I do forward, back, side to side, so I feel real confident that is dead on top of where I want to weld it. And you might ask about welding stainless to regular steel. Now, if you're talking about a structural application, if you're, like pulling trailers and stuff, you got to know what you're doing. As far as a forge, there's not going to be any weight put on this thing. We're not worried about that at all. This is going to hold strong. This is going to hold strong for a long time. There we go. Got a couple of tack welds, so it holds it in place. Then we're just going to go all the way around. There we go. Now keep in mind, I am not a welder. So you might look at my technique and say, hey, you can do that a lot better. I'm sure I could. But for me as a hobbyist, I'm cool with that. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area. Please, please, please. Safety is super important. So now all we do, we just thread this in here. We do not need pipe tape down here. We don't need anything down there, because that does not need to be airtight, gas tight, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just cranking on the top of this burner, so you see that, so I'm just cranking on it. Gives me a lot of leverage, so I can make this real tight. You see that? This is very basic. What I wanted to make here was the exact forge that I was looking for when I first started in smithing. I couldn't find anything that would fit the bill for me that didn't cost like way more than I wanted to pay. So this is a basic forge. It gets, like I said, it gets really hot. I'm a professional blacksmith. I teach classes all the time, and this is what I use. This is exactly what I use. It gets the job done. This is not something that you're going to take to competitions and it's going to, be so impressive to people. It's just got one burner. It's just a little forge. But I forge everything in here. I forge my tongs in here. I forge my chisels in here. I forge all my little projects in here. Now, I don't do big railings or anything like that. So, I mean, obviously it's not going to fit the bill for everything. It's just a small forge. But if you're just getting started, or even if you're not just getting started, if this is the type of size you need, this is fantastic and it's great price. So I actually build these and sell these. So if you want one of these, go ahead and contact me. My Facebook page is Rushfire Forge. You can try to contact me through YouTube in the comments. I'm generally looking at those. But it's starting to get to the point where I'm getting a lot, and so it's harder to keep up with. So my Facebook page is the best. All right, so this is the connection kit, and this fitting here fits right on to the end of the valve here. And then here's where you go into the propane tank. So this connection kit comes with the forge that I sell. So you're ready to plug and play. When you build this thing and you get this all hooked up, this is a 30 PSI regulator. That's really important to notice. It's 30 PSI. You do need a regulator. A regulator from a barbecue grill is not going to do it. Those are usually 5 to 10. I like the 30 PSI. I control the flow of the gas with the valve. Okay? I control the pressure of the gas with the regulator. Pressure and flow rate are very different. I honestly couldn't even explain it to you. It's complicated. I don't even really understand all, like there's aspects I definitely don't understand myself. But all I know is they're different. And if you're trying to control the flow of your gas with your valve, the pressure of your gas with your valve, or the flow of your gas with your regulator, you can't do that. It's the other way around. And they are correlated, so you will see that it works somewhat. But go with the 30 PSI fixed regulator. I don't like adjustable regulators. That's just me. It's my opinion. But that's what I do for my forges. So again, there's the forge there that I just built and showed you how to build. There's the forge that I use. It's exactly the same, and it all connects to that tank. Oh, and one important piece about these connection kits. They will connect. It's the Prestolite fitting, the POL fitting, and so it fits inside these big tanks. It will still fit inside these little barbecue tanks, but the barbecue tanks also have Acme threads. I don't know if you can see that. There's one here. It's got the Acme threads. I don't do the ones with the Acme threads because these big ones do not come with Acme threads. So the connection kit that I sell is going to hook up to any propane tank, and look at that. That's what you're going to get, and if you buy it from me, you can literally set it up and be forging inside 5 minutes of unhooking it. Thanks for joining me in this video. I hope you like these forges. They're really good. If you got any questions, just let me know. Keep in mind, though, most of your questions are going to be answered by me asking you which part of the video did you not follow, which step did you miss. So just keep that in mind, because that's generally where the issue is. Awesome. I'm Jeremy Rush with Rushfire Forge, and I will see you soon. You have a fantastic day.